and my ex-wife on Melrose Place, Heather Locklear. Heather Locklear is one of America's most beautiful and successful television actresses. Her appeal is universal. Men find her sexy and women want to know her secrets. For over 20 years, she's made a career out of playing a variety of characters, including delicious but likable vamps next door. From Sammy Jo on Dynasty to Amanda on Melrose Place, Heather has become one of America's most watched actresses on and off the screen. Heather's phenomenal career includes the unbelievable feat of starring in 2 prime-time television shows at the same time. As T.J. Hooker's All-American rookie cop, Stacey Sheridan, and Dynasty's not-so-All-American Sammy Jo. Everything Heather does, people have always wanted to know more about, from her hair, her clothes, and her personal life. From the age of 19, Heather has grown up on the covers of America's most successful magazines. Much of her unique appeal can be traced to who she is as a person. Born and raised in Southern California, Heather still sees her mom and dad almost every day and lives in the city of her youth. Her recent marriage to Richie Sambora, the lead guitarist of Bon Jovi, and the expectation of their first child has found Heather living the life she dared to dream. Heather combines an honesty and sincerity rarely found with a fresh and natural sense of humor, making her one of Hollywood's most accessible actresses. Heather Dean Locklear was born in Southern California on September 25th, 1961.
I have 2 sisters and a brother, and Lori's the oldest, and she's 5 years older than me. And then my brother, Mark, is 3 or 4 years older, and then Colleen is a year and a half older, and then there's me.
While her father, Bill, was still going to school at UCLA, Heather's mother, Diane, already had a full house when Heather decided to join the party.
We had girl, boy, girl, girl. I was kind of looking for a boy, so I didn't have to do one more hairdo or one more dress. You know, they wore a lot of little dresses in those years.
Heather has always been very close to her brother and sisters. To Mom and Dad, they seemed as much like best friends as family. Whether it was sitting on Santa's lap at Christmas, competing for the best family costume at Halloween, or just another day of summer, Lori, Mark, Colleen, and Heather were usually together, just being kids. Admittedly, it seems a bit of a stretch, but the confident, funny, and witty Heather we've gotten to know had different ways of expressing herself as a child.
In front of other people, I was shy. And I was always afraid to say goodbye to them or kiss them goodbye. I didn't know what to do. And so when they'd have company over, I wouldn't say goodnight or anything. I'd kind of run away upstairs and just go to bed so I wouldn't have to say goodbye or goodnight.
From cliché, they say, often comes truth. Growing up, Heather's life was, well, it was normal. She lived in a normal working-class house in Thousand Oaks, California. Went to the normal Capistrano Elementary School, where they took plenty of normal 1st through 6th grade class pictures like every other American girl. Heather wanted to be a cheerleader. She didn't make it. It's hard to believe, but true. Heather continues to have a very close relationship to her mother, Diane, and her father, Bill. But as a child, yeah, that seems a lot like yours and mine.
My mom, well, growing up, I mean, always very organized, PTA. She would drive us around everywhere. She would drop us off at the bus and sometimes embarrass us because her robe was still hanging out of the door when she would drive away.
Heather Locklear is unquestionably one of the most beautifully photographed women of a generation. And working with her as closely as I do on Melrose Place, I can tell you she's even more beautiful in person. But apparently, yeah, it hasn't always been that way.
When she was a kid, she was really quite gawky.
Their little teeth crossed, you know, and they did.
I didn't know my parents thought I was gawky. That's a nice thing. Well, it's nice that they said it later and not then.
But she grew into that, obviously.
Heather's desire to be in front of a camera was born out of the fantasies of every girl, to walk down a runway while others snapped pictures, pictures that would last a lifetime.
I would look at fashion shows or pageants, and I'd see all the pretty women on the pageant, you know, and I'd go, ooh, I want to be her. We also used to put on shows for my parents, didn't I tell you, and we'd charge them. One time, my girlfriend and I put on an office show for her mother, and we made her pay like the dime, and we went about playing, like having papers and playing office like kids do, but you don't speak, and it's not really a show. And she finally said, you know what, I'm leaving, this is not a show. I don't know if she got her money back, but we were very offended.
Just like the TV characters Heather would someday become famous portraying, the teenage Heather started thinking more about what she wanted to do with her life. Maybe becoming a model wasn't a fantasy at all.
And it was during her senior year, I think, that she put herself into the modeling studio so that she could learn to handle makeup and handle her hair. She was just becoming aware of her desire to look attractive.
That is so silly. Did my parents say that? They did. Okay, Bill, Diane, Mr. and Mrs. Locklear, that's very silly. I was 16. Why would I was putting on blue eyeshadow? Oh, maybe that's why.
But even then, we didn't see like, oh my gosh, she's going to be this wonderful, great model. You know, she was just doing something to enhance herself.
If I was gawky and unattractive, I don't know what I was thinking.
I think that takes quite a person who goes out and says, okay, here I am, world. I may not make this, and I may make a fool of myself, but it's okay, I'm trying.
By the age of 16 and working another job, this time as a hostess at Jack's Deli in Westlake, Heather's self-motivated drive and initiative was getting a little closer to paying off with more than a customer's 10% tip.
I was working as a hostess at this deli in Westlake at Jack's, and someone came in, and there's this thing called photo days, and this really nice man, Al, I think it's Al Bahari, and his wife Judy came in, and they said, you should be in photo days. And I'm like, what is photo days? Ooh, my modeling school will come in handy. Now I know how to apply my makeup, and maybe someone will take a picture of this gawky girl.
The photographers selected her as the best model during that time, and she was just absolutely overcome by how she enjoyed being in front of all of those cameras. And we were astounded.
That's when she was discovered. It was like, wait, I love this attention. I like the clicking of those cameras. And it was a whole new world for her. And that's pretty much, I think, how she realized, I like this. This is fun.
I wasn't one of those kids who were so ambitious that I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to be on TV. That would never enter my mind. Nothing, never.
Although UCLA is less than an hour drive from Heather's family and hometown, Heather was on her way to living the dorm life. And she knew it was time to probably grow up, but she was determined to have fun doing it.
Somebody suggested I get into a commercial workshop, or I should get into commercials, and they had some kind of contacts, and it took me forever to finally make that step and go to a workshop, because I had these pictures from photo days. I think I might have gone to Wilhelmina and some other modeling agencies and showed them these pictures, and they, you know, basically handed them back and said, thank you, honey, you're too short, and that's not a cute picture.
And she says, no, I'm interested in commercials. And they said, well, give us your album and we'll show it to the right person. And that right person happened to be Joan Green.
With looks that have been described as the icon of the all-American girl, along with her new personal manager, Joan Green, Heather's path to stardom had taken its first step forward. Heather's luck and success as a commercial actress was immediate, and with her manager, Joan Green, by her side, the two of them hoped this was the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
I think in the first year I had her, if I'm not mistaken, she did something like 16 network spots, and I was going, oh my God. I mean, this girl's got something really special, because that's absolutely unheard of. If you're a successful commercial actress in the first year, even if you're successful, you may not get a commercial. It was just that very, you know, very fresh, very open, very honest, vulnerable way about her, and this incredible sparkle.
I'm drinking milk for good.
With only a handful of years removed from the little girl that would run upstairs and hide, Heather was discovering that the fantasy of becoming an actress didn't exactly match the reality of being one.
I mean, it was exciting. It was also nerve-wracking. And this is when I felt really shy. Thank God. I mean, a lot of the commercials I didn't speak. I think one of them I finally spoke because my voice was really high like this.
I love milk. It's one fast food that's a natural food.
And it would shake really bad. My heart would beat, and I just got really, really nervous. So the auditioning part was just frightening to me, terrifying.
The milk commercial, we went cuckoo over that one because she was walking, looking at the camera, pouring milk into a glass, didn't spill a drop. It was magnificent.
Now that might not seem the height of elegance to some people, but I just tell them this. I'll stop drinking milk just as soon as they come up with something better. I'm drinking milk for good.
With a few impressive checks in her bank account and a recent call for Heather to try out on the Aaron Spelling TV series Dynasty, Heather and Joan knew the time had come to talk with Mr. and Mrs. Locklear about Heather's future. A future that might not include UCLA.
When she had the opportunity to go into Dynasty, there was just not a prayer that she was not going to have to leave school. The thing I remember most about it was her saying something like, Heather could become a millionaire. Now, my response was both astonishment and interest.
We're just two little mom and dad sitting there.
Without UCLA, it was now up to Heather, and Aaron Spelling, of course, to pave the way for the next step to that future.
And this was a series that was already on for like 13 episodes. So I was very aware of Linda Evans and John Forsythe. I don't think Joan Collins had come on yet. And I remember seeing this beautiful set and these beautiful clothes and these beautiful people and getting a call for this. And I was like, what? An audition for this? And I was really excited.
It was really a highlight of mine, and I'm sure still to this day, Heather's career. It was really something. It was a giant break. It was very exciting.
And I knew the Love Boat and Charlie's Angels and the Rookies, and I knew all of that. So I knew Aaron Spelling. I mean, I think I knew Aaron Spelling when Charlie's Angels was so big. I think everybody in the world was aware of Aaron Spelling then.
Hi there.
Unless you've been sitting inside of a closet for the past 20 years reading the Wall Street Journal, you already know that Heather got the part of the wrong side of the tracks, Sammy Joe. But back then, this was still news to Mom.
We were all hoping in whatever you do. And she said that she got the part. We were all happy. I mean, we were like kids and yelling and screaming. But you still didn't quite believe it. I mean, that, you know, this is unusual. This is unusual. It's just like a dream that you don't even dream.
Welcome to Hollywood, Heather, where today's star is yesterday's news. Another cliche was about to come true. Before the end of her first season as Sammy Joe and the hit show Dynasty was complete, it was already over.
Actually, I found out that I wasn't going to be on Dynasty 7 episodes in that they had already done. I found out through a boom operator. Oh, we hear you're leaving. I'm like, what?
At the end of 13 shows, the powers that be felt that the Sammy Joe character was no longer necessary to the show and decided to write that character out.
I didn't understand and I didn't know why, and it was kind of, then it kind of taught me in this business that things, you know, could be looking up and in the next second that it could change. About 4 months later, I think, or 4 months later, then I got a call for T.J. Hooker to audition.
Hooker, those are teaching contracts Jim's reading. Can't you talk to him? We can't afford to lose him.
We or you, Stace?
Hollywood has always been a roller coaster of success and then failure and then the dream of another success. Heather was soon cast in another new Aaron Spelling show called T.J. Hooker, starring James Darren and William Shatner.
Heather's character on T.J. Hooker, Stacy, was the daughter of a police captain or police chief, and I think her character was always trying to prove that she could be a good cop.
What was about to happen next to Heather's career had never happened in the history of television. She was about to star in 2 primetime shows on the same network at the same time.
Dynasty went into reruns, and the Sammy Joe character replayed. And at that point, the public had heard that Sammy Joe had been written out of Dynasty. Now, she was already on T.J. Hooker when there was a giant backlash about the fact that there was no longer going to be the Sammy Jo character on Dynasty. And from what I understand, the fan mail came in barrels. And the Spelling Company had to do some quick maneuvering and now found themselves in sort of a bind because they no longer had Heather. When I got a call, I believe from Mr. Spelling, saying, well, what can we do? How do we get our Sammy Jo back?
It was the first time in history that, you know, that anybody has even thought about doing that. And we did it, and the strange thing was she kept getting tons of fan mail on T.J. Hooker and tons of fan mail on Dynasty all at the same time.
And what are you trying to do, Alexis? Get all of Denver into thinking you're the... Wait, how did your newspaper rag put it? The Empress of the city? And I hear you're throwing a black and blue party just to prove it.
It's a black and white ball, dear, and I'm not out to bruise anyone, just overwhelm them.
Well, I've heard of social climbers, but you've had them build you a new ladder, haven't you?
Heather Best is one of those remarkable people who can make you cry and make you hate her. The trick is you love to hate her. And we have an old saying that we use around here is that the snake always gets the best lines anyway.
Look, we're great together.
Yeah.
In fact, you're the most exciting man I've ever had.
Yeah.
Do you know why?
No, why?
Because I made you exciting.
I bet you can't tell me one thing that Adam said to Eve or Eve said to Adam, but I bet you can tell me what that snake said about that apple, can't you?
Heather responded to being a series lead in two shows by just being a series lead in 2 shows. Where do you want me? When do I need to be there? Give me my lines. I'll be ready to go.
They had to figure out how to drive me from studio to studio. They changed the hair and makeup. I didn't have to change it. I just had to know my lines and know my characters.
With 2 hit shows on the air at the same time for the past 5 years, Heather Locklear was a star. But with the lesson of the past still close at hand and a personal life which included a stormy marriage to Motley Crue's Tommy Lee, her future was anything but certain. After hundreds of episodes starring in Dynasty as Sammy Jo and Stacey Sheridan and T.J. Hooker, both shows had been canceled. Heather's future, both personally and professionally, were up in the air.
I never thought my future was set because I was once let go from Dynasty, so I knew that that could happen at any time and that the shows could be canceled at any time.
For the first time since Heather was a child, the hardest working actress in Hollywood was unemployed and doing what most actors do their entire career. Wait and see. Heather's relationship with Tommy Lee quickly turned to marriage. A year after meeting backstage at a 1985 concert, the two were married before 500 hopeful friends, all of them planning and hoping, as Heather was, that this marriage would last a lifetime. Heather's personal and professional life were about to change.
I've always worked. I've never not worked, so when I don't work, I have no idea what to do or who I am. I think there's always a fear of, oh my God, I'm never going to work again. So I did take some accounting classes to figure out, okay, I better keep the money that I have. And I always wanted to make sure, at that time I was married, and I wanted to make sure I could still support myself and still hold up my end of the deal, you know, financially.
Like most of us, our greatest fears are rarely realized. The same was true for Heather, who continued to work.
Here, this looks much better on you.
Tori, wait.
You know, Richard, I think you do belong in Congress.
Heather always stayed in front of the public eye with a number of mostly forgettable TV movies and the short-lived sitcom Going Places. By now, Heather's marriage to Motley Crue's Tommy Lee was publicly acknowledged as in trouble. Her fans, as well as her family and friends, knew that the star that had shined so brightly in the early 80s was slowly being darkened into the 90s by a difficult and tumultuous marriage, which was having an effect on every part of her life and career.
I just wasn't satisfied. Nothing was really exciting anymore, and I'm sure it had to do a lot of my personal life. And, you know, everything kind of crossed over.
Well, I think keeping the marriage together for her was so important because she has that strong role model of her mom and dad. And I think she aspires to have that forever.
Heather worked very, very hard on that marriage because it probably should have ended, you know, a number of years earlier.
I did everything to try and make it right, and I mean everything. So when I finally realized, okay, maybe we're just not meant to be together, and this is really making me unhappy, it's just time to let go. I think then getting Melrose Place again was the stepping stone of getting out of the marriage, going, this is not going to be messed up. I'm just going to get back on my feet and back to where I feel happy in the old Heather again.
For the third time in Heather's career, a career which started by leaving UCLA to star in 2 Aaron Spelling series, she was once again being asked by TV legend Aaron Spelling himself to join the cast of a new, hip, but fledgling television series on the Fox network called Melrose Place.
Then along came Aaron Spelling again.
My answer to Heather was, it's not going to help, it's not going to hurt. Honey, if you want to do it, go ahead and do it. There's really nothing to gain or lose.
We needed something on Melrose. We didn't have that vixen character on Melrose.
Until now, I have tolerated your childish behavior, but this crosses the line.
I just thought that since San Francisco went so well that...
You'd see if you could charm me into bed? There's only one man who can do that, and that's my husband, who I happen to love very much.
The network asked us, gosh, can't you bring in somebody? Can't you bring in somebody? So I asked Heather if she'd come over and talk, and she came over with her manager, and we talked about the character, and we signed her for 4 episodes.
I am not going to be your boy toy, Amanda. Either share some of yourself with me, or you cut me loose.
My office, now.
And now, of course, we're going to our 6th year. We were that close to being canceled on Melrose until Heather Locklear came on the show. And boom.
How long have you been staring at me?
All right. Well, the greatest part of looking into Heather's eyes, because they're always so bright and clear, is that I can get a nice reflection of myself. So, you know, that's the main attraction for me. But, you know, once she starts blinking, it ruins it, and then I have to kind of remember my lines and stuff.
You have a big, handsome doctor who's all crazy in love with you. I mean, what else could you really want?
Jack Wagner is my husband, or was my husband on Melrose Place.
Why don't you hop in the shower and I'll make us breakfast?
There's a certain chemistry with us, and there's also a playfulness. It's just the easiest relationship.
Chemistry is probably a pretty good word. You know, she has a quality that's very, very rare, and that is that she really doesn't, you know, take herself seriously. She puts her ego someplace, I don't know where, which gives me a lot more room for mine. Although Aaron Spelling has always been good for Heather, Heather has also been very good for Aaron Spelling.
Why did I call her for Dynasty? Why did I put her in TJ Hooker? I keep telling you, my good luck penny. I know it's a corny thing to say, but there's some karma between Heather and me, and when she gets on these shows, they work.
With another successful season of Melrose Place behind her, and with TJ Hooker and Dynasty a thing of the past, it's still hard to imagine today how many episodes of Aaron Spelling television Heather has starred in.
There's just that thing that happens, and it very, very seldom happens, because the old adage of Hollywood, unfortunately, is if you start somebody, the old saying is you put shoes on them and they walk away. Heather's never walked away.
Heather's put together 442 hours just for Aaron Spelling alone. That doesn't include TV movies or feature films. I mean, this is a girl who works nonstop. And I think you can conclude 2 things. A, Heather Locklear is a very good actress who's popular, and B, that she has no hobbies.
Happy birthday, Lila.
Some birthday. I'm going through menopause. My Zorch is on fire.
Heather's success as a dramatic actress didn't change her lifelong desire to do comedy. And what Heather wants, Heather usually gets.
Heather,
What is it, Phil?
can I talk to you for a moment?
She's a specimen. I mean, she's absolutely beautiful, and she's just like got that thing.
Heather, I missed you last night. I thought you were coming over.
Well, you thought wrong.
Or that swing.
Oh, Kevin, thank God.
Heather, what's wrong?
Just hold me, please hold me.
Heather's really always thought of herself as being funny, and not only Heather has thought of herself as being funny, but we all know that Heather's funny.
By the way, Linda, you lost some weight. You're too skinny. You're oyster dot. Like that Calvin Klein model. What's the name? Pete Moss?
She's very self-deprecating, and she's very silly. And, you know, silly as an art form is underrated.
And then I'll finish you and Leno and all the rest of them. Isn't that right, canteen boy?
She's just a very free, funny, silly person. Silly's only bad when you're in grade 3. You're told you're silly and you're told to stop being silly. But professionally, let me tell you, silly is good.
And this came from a little kid who was scared to death to get up in front of class in school and, you know, and even recite what she had to do to get a grade. She once took a failing grade in a class because she couldn't get up and give an oral report.
She is the embodiment of the suburban adolescent North American heavy metal experience and that whole babe thing.
With her career headed firmly towards an ozone-splitting level of success, Heather's career choices, as well as her choices in men, would continue to improve.
Ultimate Portrait, Natalie Wood.
Images of Heather Locklear. Negligee. Tight police uniform. She's sort of the embodiment of American babytude, if you will, if you must, if you shall. Just that girl next door kind of thing who works in a mall and then you lust after her.
Although everyone in America recognized that Heather was already a lusty and proven network TV series star, she hadn't yet been able to break away from being typecast as Aaron Spelling's good luck vamp. But that could change with the right choices, because one thing hadn't changed. The fans still wanted more of Heather.
She did a mini-series called Texas Justice. The industry perception was that Heather could act.
Your Honor, how can you take away my security?
Mrs. Davis?
That man killed my daughter and he tried to kill me. I knew it was a big event. I was definitely nervous. In the very beginning, I wasn't sure about the handle of the character, but I knew that everything else would work and the people around me would help me out and work. And then I try not to think that this is all on my shoulders, like on Melrose Place. It's not on my shoulders, and Texas Justice is my police. Peter Strauss, hello. Not on my shoulders.
Although it seemed clear that Texas Justice was the right choice for Heather, her fear was whether it was the right choice for Texas Justice and her co-star Peter Strauss.
I have this horrific reputation of being a serious actor, and the assumption that I would work with Heather raised an enormous number of eyebrows, especially mine.
Have a good time tonight, honey? Ow!
I think I don't got ass to see with.
Oh, Colin, that hurts. Ow!
I didn't need your help to beat that pea brain.
I didn't say anything.
Heather's role was to play my ex-wife. The appeal of Heather is this woman needed to be big. She needed to be big emotionally. She needed to be big physically. She needed to have an extraordinary sense of energy, joy, love of life. She needed to have an arrogance of her position, and she needed to have a love for the dramatic and for the flair of presenting herself in a sexual, desirable manner. It sounds like I'm describing Heather.
Like a broken record, Heather's popularity was still just scratching the surface. Men and women of all ages wanted to know more about the woman they were beginning to simply call Heather.
Getting Heather Locklear on the cover of your magazine is a great coup. She sells magazines. There's always interest in Heather's life. Heather's the blonde icon for, you know, from people 20 years old to 40 years old. It was Marilyn in the 50s, it was Farrah in the 70s, and for the later half of the 80s and the 90s, it's Heather Locklear.
Having successfully broken the mold she helped create over the years, Heather reluctantly accepted the most difficult role of her career in Shattered Mind as the tortured multi-personality character of Susie. Heather's performance proved she was for real. In fact, too real for someone very close to her.
When she did the multi-personality movie of the week a year or two ago, that was real agony for me.
Stay back! Stay back!
It's okay.
Stay there. Stay there.
I've never been able to see Heather on television without seeing my daughter, regardless of what role she's playing.
For Heather's mother, the more difficult challenge is watching her little girl grow up in front of her and millions of others, playing friendly scenes one at a time.
I call them friendly scenes. Yeah, and they called sex scenes? No, they're friendly scenes. Anyway, so yeah, I would say we were not comfortable with that.
Heather's passion for dramatic acting continues to expand beyond her acknowledged success in television. With her theatrical role as the seedy undercover FBI agent Katherine Hanson in Joel Silver and Richard Donner's Double Tap, Heather takes the action head-on.
Line in there, and I will do whatever it takes to gain their trust. Because if they sniff me out even for 1 second, I'm dead.
The dark and tormented character of Katherine Hanson is a long way from Amanda, Sammy Jo, and Stacy Sheridan. But some things never change. Wherever a Heather character goes, trouble is sure to follow.
Look at me. Look, I know being under's hard.
Being under is easy. And the hard part is realizing that no matter what we do, we are never gonna win.
With television and feature films a secure part of Heather's future, her commercial popularity and quirky sense of humor continue to grow.
With preference, you can have exhilarating hair, but only if you live by one simple code. I'm worth it.
The energy Heather put into those commercials helped her burn a lot of calories, but apparently she's been blessed with more things than just talent.
Heather eats like no one I know in the world.
To be honest with you, I can't believe the way Heather eats. I mean, she eats, and I don't want to sound, I love you, Heather, but she eats trash.
6 Polish sausages and dessert with M&Ms and frosting.
We love to go to IHOP, the International House of Pancakes. We love that place. And we'll go in and order, like, everything off the menu, and the waitress will look at her like, oh, dear, but we end up eating 1 bite of every little thing. When we go, we have a great time.
First, you have to order the cheese blintzes with the jelly and I think it's sour cream.
I think probably from 2 in the morning till 6, she's on a Stairmaster, but doesn't want people to know it.
Then there's the potato pancakes with the applesauce.
It used to be, do you want your hot dog with sauerkraut or mustard or onions or chili? Now everybody knows when to get her something, you just put it all on. You know, no cutting back.
I was shopping with Heather and her mother, and Heather was walking through the store eating SpaghettiOs straight from the can.
Then we have to have pancakes, normal pancakes with the boysenberry syrup, and you can mix it with maple, and then there has to be some kind of meat, whether it be bacon or sausage, to dip into that. And is there something I'm missing? I'm sure there is.
I want to see someone like Heather Locklear come clean and admit she's just genetically lucky. She may have a lot of other talent, but Heather, you need to fess up.
With a world of professional and personal troubles long behind her and nothing but success on her tail, Heather was ready to embrace the future and the truth behind rumors of a new man in her life. When we return, a true-life love story between Heather Locklear and her future husband, Richie Sambora of Bon Jovi.
Heather has a special appeal where she's intriguing to both men and women. Men find her sexy, and women are interested to know her secrets.
One of Heather's best-kept secrets, at least for a few precious seconds anyway, was that she had met the man she had always knew she was looking for. It was Richie Sambora, the lead guitarist of Bon Jovi. One of the hardest-working rock groups in rock and roll meets one of the hardest-working actresses in television.
In reality, I mean, there's only 2 things in my life, besides my family and my wife and my music. That's about it, you know. I mean, it's actually a pretty simple existence.
So sit back and enjoy the beginning of a true-life romance that has all the emotion, excitement, and sexuality that we dream of.
That actual day, my husband, ex-husband, and I had separated that actual day. Went to like a therapist thing and separated. And that was okay. Oh, by the way, could you get me some Bon Jovi tickets? Actually, he may have gotten me the tickets, but he's a nice ex-husband.
I think we didn't have anything to do that night, and they'd invited us to go to the concert. And we went to the concert in Orange County.
I was, watching a show, and I said, I would really like him. I think he's pretty beautiful. And she's like, really? I just happened to know him. I knew she knew him.
I was like, oh.
oh, light bulb. So I planted the seed, and I just started calling him after that. And he wouldn't return my phone call. And I still to the day, I want to kill him for not returning my phone call.
And I'm like, so what happened? He's not calling back. Oh, okay.
I was in Europe touring, you know, with Bon Jovi, doing a great big stadium tour. And there was calls coming into my office, and there was messages that, you know, like Heather Locklear is interested. You know, I didn't believe it.
I kept calling. I was relentless because he was the only one that she was kind of interested in, and she couldn't think of anybody else.
So, like, you know, a couple days later, so have you called? Yeah, he's not calling back.
I was like, get out of here. You know what I mean? She's with somebody. I had no idea what was going on.
Okay, finally, after like however long it's been, and she goes, Heather, maybe God's trying to tell you that this is not the one.
Then we had to do a job in New York. So we went to New York, and I had a friend call him up and tell him that we were in town. And so he called the hotel. Hooray.
I had to do some business in the city, so I had a suite at the Waldorf where I normally stay at. So, and you know, I said, well, I'm coming in, and she was in, and I said, let's get together and just, you know, throw the baloney.
And I'm like, there's a message, Richie Sambora. No, this can't be him. What? And we're like, what? So I call him back, and he's going, hi, darling. And I'm like, he has an accent. And he said, so I hear you want to see me. And I'm like, oh. What?
I was very, very surprised after Heather and Tommy's divorce that she was interested in me.
But that's not the way it was supposed to be presented. It's supposed to be, I have a friend, Lisa saying, I have a friend who I think you would really like. Like she's trying to put us together, not like I'm going, so did he call? So it didn't end up that way.
He said, come up to my hotel room. I said to her, you are not going to his hotel room. You tell him to meet you downstairs in the lobby like a gentleman. It was hysterical.
So I ended up going to this hotel, and I don't see a bar. Now, mind you, it's about 12 o'clock at night, or 12:30, and I don't see a bar, and there's really no one around, and I'm getting kind of embarrassed, like a groupie coming up, and, hi, is Richie Sambora here? Oh, he's been expecting you, hold on. And I get the phone, and I go, hi, I don't really see a bar down here. He goes, Heather, I have only the best of intentions. Come on up here. I've got something for you. And I'm like, I bet you do. Okay.
Okay, so here's the situation. I meet Heather in New York, face to face. I go, I'm dead. I'm in trouble. It was done. Honest to God, it was like, I did a lot of searching. I never was married before or anything like that. I just never found, you know, not for lack of trying or anything like that. I've been that kind of person where I wanted to have a great relationship ever since I was a teenager. I just never, it was never a complete whole thing.
He's dressed all very nice in this beautiful suite, and he's like, and I'm like, what is this? And he's like, hugs me. Now, I don't know what, I just kind of hugged him all stiff. I'm like, aye. And in the meantime, I'm hoping that still the plan wasn't that I've been wanting to meet him and all this stuff. But he's like, well, I'm really glad you wanted to see me. I'm really glad this worked out. I'm like, I can't believe he keeps saying this.
Why, when you meet somebody, even before you talk and before you even almost say anything, that there's this feeling that happens. So I was dead. I was dead in the water automatically, you know?
There were beautiful roses, and there was champagne, and then the phone rings. Oh, okay. And he picks up the phone. He goes, hi. Yes, she's right here. Hold on 1 second. I'm like, okay, my mom didn't find me. Who else could be?
I said, what are you doing in his hotel room?
Over my dead body. I'm like, oh, what? No, you don't understand. Anyway, it was just very funny that she found me where I wasn't supposed to be.
And they've been together ever since. We were doing a movie in Texas, and he would come out every weekend to see her. And I would say, are you falling in love? And she kind of was in denial at first. No, not kind of, she definitely was in denial. And then I think she told me first that he started telling her the L word. But like I said, they fell for each other really quickly.
Another musician. But once we met him, he was just so charming and so sweet to her and so real in the person that he was and it was clear that he could make her happy.
When I look at you, you're beautiful. There comes a time in someone's life when you find the thing that matters, and every time we touch, love runs deep. We realize it's ours to keep, and that's all that really matters.
He has a beautiful voice, and even if he writes songs, you know, they're beautiful lyrics. And sometimes when it would get late at night and I'd fall asleep and he would go into the other room and he would just start writing a song and it would wake me up and he'd come in and still play it. He just is a musical man, and it's whether it be me that he's serenading or just singing, it's just always beautiful. It's just always sweet and beautiful.
You'll always be my sweet addiction in this life, my saving grace. Girl, you're all that really matters. You know it's true. Ain't no me without you. Girl, you're all that really matters. You know it's true. Ain't no me without you.
I think she'll be a wonderful mom. I think Richie will be a great dad. And it would have been a shame, I think, for them not to have had a child. It ought to be a beauty.
I think it's a fulfillment of any human's life to, you know, to complete that cycle of life and have children.
I'm looking forward to bonding with the family and having a family that's not just Richie and I, but a child and a product of us. And I think he'll be a wonderful father, and I won't be too shabby of a mom. So I think it'll be quite an experience, and just to add and make our life so much fuller.
And that's all that really matters.
With the expectation of a new baby, the recognition of a happy marriage, and a career which continues to rocket skyward, Heather Dean Locklear finally realizes that her life, her career, and her family have been blessed. From the youthful days of modeling school to her success in TV commercials, to years of primetime television and the memorable characters she's created, Heather's happiness appears secured as she continues to grow as an actress and as a woman. I'm Jack Wagner, and thank you for watching Intimate Portraits.
Coming up on Lifetime Intimate Portrait, tomorrow night, Star Attitude Week continues with comedian Brett Butler. Then on Sunday, it's screen star Natalie Wood. And Monday, it's Kathy Lee Gifford. Intimate Portrait only on Lifetime, television for women.
A lifetime intimate portrait. She's a top comedienne with a past that should have killed her, yet she turned her heartbreak into humor.
I can't say it saved me, it created me.
Intimate Portrait, Brett Butler.
Tomorrow at 7 as part of Star Attitude Week on Lifetime.
Coming up, be a crime buster. Watch Unsolved Mysteries next. And tonight at 9, Josie Bissett and Gerald McCraney star in Deadly Vows on the Lifetime Nighttime Movie. Then tune into Lifetime's newest late-night destination, New Attitudes. It's all about you and your life, only on Lifetime.